All right, let's dive into one of the most dramatic stories out there. It's a story about facing impossible odds, about a prophecy that gets twisted because of a moment of doubt, and a victory that's sealed not by a soldier on a battlefield, but by an ordinary woman with a common household tool. This is going to be good. We're going to start with a number, 900. Now, what does that mean? Well, in this story, 900 is the number that basically screams, you are going to lose. It's the number of iron chariots. Think of them as the ancient world's tanks that a high-tech army had aimed right at the Israelites. And for 2 long decades, the Israelites were living under the thumb of this guy, King Jabin, and his absolutely terrifying commander, Sisera. And this wasn't just, a minor inconvenience. The text says it was cruel oppression. So after 20 years of this, they're at their breaking point, crying out for someone, anyone, to help. And that help, that deliverance, it doesn't start with a king or a famous warrior. It starts with a prophet. And this is where we meet our first major player, Deborah, the woman who is actually leading Israel through this whole crisis. Deborah had this really unique role. She was a prophetess, so she was seen as a direct line to God, but she was also a judge. That was the highest legal and political authority in the land at the time. People from all over would literally travel to her as she held court under this tree called the Palm of Deborah. So make no mistake, she was the leader. So Deborah gets this message from God, and she summons a general, a guy named Barak. And the plan she lays out is incredibly direct. She says, gather 10,000 men, God is going to lure Sisera's army, chariots and all, to the Kishon River, and he is going to deliver them right into your hands. It's about as clear a battle plan as you can get, and it comes with a divine guarantee. But, even if the plan comes from God, a human has to carry it out. And this is where our second figure, Barak, the general, has a moment of doubt. And that doubt is going to change everything. And honestly, can you blame him for hesitating? I mean, just look at this matchup. It's a total mismatch. Sisera has a professional army with 900 iron chariots that are deadly in open valley combat. Barak is being told to assemble a militia, basically farmers with spears, and they've got 0 chariots. The odds are just astronomically bad. So staring down this impossible fight, Barak lays down a condition for Deborah. He says, look, if you go with me, I will go. But if you don't go with me, I won't go. He's basically saying he needs her, the physical link to that divine promise, to be standing right there with him. It's a very human moment of fear, right? He just needs that reassurance. Deborah agrees to go with him, but her answer comes with this huge prophetic catch. She tells him, okay, I'll go, but because you did this, because you hesitated, the honor for this victory, specifically for taking down the enemy commander Sisera, it's not going to be yours. The Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. And that line, that's going to be important later. Well, the battle plays out exactly as prophesied. Barak's army storms down from Mount Tabor, and Sisera's whole force is thrown into total chaos. Those mighty iron chariots get completely bogged down and become useless. The defeat is so absolute that the great commander, Sisera, literally jumps out of his chariot and runs away on foot, leaving his entire army behind to be wiped out. So the battle is won, but the prophecy isn't totally fulfilled yet. Sisera himself is still on the loose. And this is where the story takes its most shocking and famous turn, and we meet our third and final key figure, Jael. So Sisera is exhausted, desperate, running for his life, and he spots a tent that he thinks is a safe house. It belongs to Jael, and her husband's family had a political alliance with Sisera's king. So from his point of view, he just stumbled into the safest place he could possibly be. What a fatal miscalculation. Jael plays the part of the perfect host, but really, she's building a trap with every kind gesture. She welcomes him in, covers him with a blanket. He asks for water, but she gives him milk, which is heavier and way more likely to make him sleepy. She even promises to stand guard at the door and lie if anyone comes looking for him. She completely lulls him into a false sense of security. The second he's out cold, Jael grabs 2 things you'd find in any tent: a tent peg, one of those big spikes you use to secure the tent, and a hammer. She creeps over to the sleeping general, places the sharp point of the peg against his temple, and then drives it straight through his skull and into the ground. It's brutal, it's shocking, and it is brutally effective. Just moments later, who shows up? Barak, still hunting for the enemy commander. Jael just calmly walks out to meet him and says, "Come, I will show you the man you're looking for." She takes him inside, and there's Sisera, dead on her floor. Deborah's prophecy that Sisera would fall at the hands of a woman was fulfilled, to the letter. And this single act by this one woman had enormous consequences. With their commander dead, the spirit of the Canaanite army was completely broken. It was the critical blow that allowed the Israelites to press their advantage and ultimately destroy King Jabin's power, finally ending those 2 decades of oppression. So this wild story leaves us with a pretty cool question to think about. What really defines a hero? Is it the person who gives the divine command, like Deborah? Is it the one who faces the fear and fights the battle, like Barak? Or is it the unexpected person who, in the critical moment, just acts, like Jael? Maybe it's not as simple as we think.